the woman returns home to visit her daughter, just in time to see a funeral procession approaching. At first, she didn't pay much attention, guessing that an elderly villager had passed away. Then, she overheard from the onlookers that it was a young child with a heart condition who had suddenly died. Only then did the woman realize that something was very wrong, as her own daughter was the only child in the village with a heart condition. She immediately turned and chased after the funeral procession. Sure enough, she saw her mother-in-law and brother-in-law burying an urn. She called out her daughter's name loudly, refusing to believe her daughter was dead. Her mother-in-law panicked when she saw her daughter-in-law, and to cover up the truth, she quickly pulled a neighbor's young girl over and told the girl to call the woman mom. The villagers began to murmur, puzzled by the mother-in-law's actions. The brother-in-law hurriedly persuaded the villagers to leave, to avoid the truth coming out. Looking at the little girl in front of her, the woman mistook her for her own daughter, and immediately hugged her, apologizing and explaining that she hadn't returned home for 3 years to earn more money for her daughter's treatment. Meanwhile, her mother-in-law rushed back to the village ahead of her, took out $500 to pay the neighbor, and asked if they could lend her granddaughter to play the role for a few days, promising to return her once the daughter-in-law left for the city again. After arranging everything, the mother-in-law took advantage of the moment when the woman went to get gifts for the child, and used a piece of candy to bribe the little girl, telling her that as long as she called the woman mom, she could have candy anytime she wanted. The mother-in-law thought her plan was flawless, but that very night, the woman noticed something was wrong. Remembering her daughter had a noticeable birthmark on her shoulder, the little girl had no such mark. Recalling her mother-in-law's nervous expression from earlier, the woman realized that the child was an imposter. As she pondered over everything, she suddenly received a call from the hospital. The hospital informed her that her daughter's belongings had been left there, and asked her to pick them up by 10 a.m. the next morning. Early the next morning, the woman clung to a last glimmer of hope as she went to the hospital, hoping it was a mistake. But when the nurse handed her the box, she felt devastated, as it contained all the toys she had once given her daughter. She asked the nurse why her daughter had died, since they had been consistently cooperating with her treatment. The nurse rebuked her, saying she didn't deserve to be a parent, as they had abandoned the child at the hospital without care, and repeatedly neglected the medical bills for several months, even denying it when the hospital urged payment. The woman had always believed her mother-in-law was paying the bills, but from other patients, she learned the bitter truth. Her mother-in-law had been extremely cruel. While the child cried in pain, calling for her mother, the mother-in-law sat there eating sunflower seeds, completely ignoring her, even going so far as to hit the child. Because the mother-in-law had not paid on time, the hospital was forced to stop treatment, leading to the child's death. It was only then that the woman realized why her mother-in-law had kept coming up with excuses to stop her from coming home over the past 3 years. Even when she missed her daughter too much and wanted a video call, the mother-in-law refused, fearing that if she found out the truth, she would stop sending money home. The woman vowed silently to make her ruthless mother-in-law pay with blood. When she returned home, she overheard her mother-in-law discussing with her brother-in-law how to keep hiding the truth from her, so she would continue sending money to buy her brother-in-law a car and a house. The woman was furious. Her mother-in-law heard a noise outside, and hurriedly ran out, but the woman was nowhere to be seen.